one-year contract for the total lawn care. Their acronym is TLC. And we've done a 3-year renewal contract for total lake care. And their acronym is TLC. I don't know if you know it, but we have 2 contractors with TLC as their acronyms. And it makes for a lot of confusion sometimes. Both contracts are effective January 1, 2023. We've been very busy reviewing and discussing other contracts that aren't near expiration yet in order to be familiar with their contract language, to judge the contractor performance, and to raise contractor questions and issues. Additionally, we have had our, and I don't see him here, our HOA insurance czar from FPC. He's been busy reviewing all of our HOA insurance policies and making recommendations to us as well before our insurance expires in July. And that's Bill Puglisi. He's doing a lot of good work for us. As you might recall, committee empowerment is a big priority with this board of directors. We've already seen committees become more engaged and embrace more responsibilities. For example, the Boats and Docks Committee met with Waccamaw, our management company, and the entire registration and management process for boat storage has transitioned to the Boats and Docks Committee. They've also established new policy and new process for registration and management of the boat ramp weight restriction program that we've recently installed. Kudos to them. Bert and the Communications Committee now have a Zoom squad to support our community for Zoom meetings. Bert has also been meeting with the board regarding a new North Carolina bill, which is entitled Modernize Remote Business Access. And he's been brainstorming with us, and he's going to continue to do that. And it will help us to modernize our business and meeting processes more electronically. Other committees are taking on more responsibilities as well. Committee volunteerism is alive and well, too. The ARC, Boats and Docks, Communications Committees, Social, Structures and Grounds have all accepted new members since this board has been established. And Communications Committee also has 4 candidates, I understand, that are interested in co-editing the Pearl. So thank you, everybody. Committees are the lifeblood of our community, and they are the future committee chairs and board members. Speaking of volunteers, in November, the board established a Safety and Preparedness Committee to identify and make recommendations on matters related to our residents and to the well-being of the community at large, as related to traffic, other safety issues, disaster preparedness, theft, vandalism, trespassing, and other issues. We're hopeful that this new committee can tackle some of the difficult situations that we haven't been able to enforce very well in the past. We will discuss this in more detail in the board meeting today. The Facilities Planning Committee, working with the committee chairs and the study engineer, have finalized the reserve study. The board will be briefed this week, and a reserve study town hall has been scheduled for February, and all community members will be invited to participate either in person or via Zoom. The FPC will explain the reserve study tool and how we use it to forecast reserve spending for repair, replacement for our amenities and other common areas for the next 20 years. The next step is to have the quarterly committee chair meeting, which is also going to be in February, so that the FPC, the board, and the committee chairs can discuss the committee reserve items, priorities, and recommendations for the 2023 reserve spending plans. I want to remind everyone that Waccamaw has commenced their compliance runs for the neighborhood. So be sure to follow HOA guidelines and keep your property neat and tidy. Sorry. Just going to read this. I don't think I can.
Oh, yeah.
Did you read that for me?
Yeah, absolutely. Our friend and neighbor, Jeb Goldman, who recently resigned from the Architectural Review Committee after 6 years, has passed away. Marty and her family sat China at their home in Oyster Harbor for 3 days. Many neighbors and friends visited with Marty and her family and celebrated Jeb's memory. It's due to Jeb's involvement with the art and his vision and commitment to our community that Oyster Harbor continues to grow and our homes are some of the finest in the area. And I would say thank you to the entire family, but especially Jeb for his dedication to this community. And we'll miss him.
Yes. Okay, thank you. The next item of business is the reading of the treasurer's report by Dan Evans.
Good afternoon. This is going to be the treasurer's report through November 30th. Just for information, we will be getting the financials for December in the latter part of January. So in the January meeting we have, I'll be able to talk about year end for 2022 completely, but this is through November of this year. And by the way, the treasury report as well as about the financials will be posted on the website this afternoon after this meeting. The total operating cash we have now on hand through November, we have on hand with $158,233. The ARC total, Architectural Review Committee total, was $124,015. The total assets through November was $282,248. In the reserve through November, we have $931,245. We had a significant decrease in the total in the reserve in November, and I'll go over that with you later on. It's an item I'll be discussing. Under operating expenses for maintenance, which includes the pool, the clubhouse, landscaping, and facility, we are under budget by $1,066. In administrative, we are over budget by $21,497. In operating, which is utilities, security, and the reserve, we are $28,140 over budget. Total operating through November for the month of November was $36,601. I didn't go over the monthly amounts for those items because you'll have it when you go online to look at these numbers. I don't want to give you a bunch of numbers. It really doesn't make much sense right now, I don't think. The total year to date is for expenses is $647,437. We are over budget by $48,571 for the year through November. In the reserve expenses for November, we had 2 items. One was the structural repair of the boat ramp, and that was like $89,931. And also replacing the wood decking at the docks, which was $1,997. The total out of the reserves through November is $266,757, which is pretty significant compared to what we've been spending in the past years. Delinquencies, we have $55,351.65 in delinquency. FYI, this time last year, October, November last year, we were $138,000 in delinquencies. That's how much this board and Waccamaw has really worked to reduce the delinquencies. Done a heck of a job. The liens filed to date are 8, and the value is $20,000. In foreclosure, we have 2 in foreclosure for a total of $17,500. Thank you. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Okay. The committee reports will now be read. I'm going to start off with the ABC POA that I represent our community on that organization, and Larry also is a member of the ABC POA. That is a collection of most of the HOAs in this area that have band together and become a coalition. The current activities and projects. At the last meeting, there was not a quorum, so we couldn't have a regular meeting. But we did have a speaker who was the county manager, and he spoke about the property reevaluation of our properties. And also in attendance was the director of the tax department, Jeff Nieballer. And I'm sure all of you have read in the paper what's going on there. They should be finished, all the evaluations, and we should be hearing something very soon. The ABCPOA will be keeping abreast of the tax increases and make any noise for communities. And they would not commit to raising any taxes or anything. So it was a very long, dry meeting that we sat through. As I said, the meeting did not have a quorum. It was the annual meeting, so they didn't have their elections. So it was a very not a good move to have a meeting without a quorum when they had those activities. Some of the things that they've done in the past are query reports, and we get a lot of information. We're able to share and glean information among all of our HOAs that help us to run our business and find contractors and do other things. The next meeting is next week, and the planning board for the county will be giving a Brunswick County blueprint land use plan, a discussion and presentation with the ABCPOA. And that's all I had on that. The next report is for the ARC, and I don't see Les here, and I'm his liaison, and I'll present for him. The summary for the builds, what is going on right now. They presently have 28 homes under construction in various stages of construction. Additionally, 4 builds are complete. The ARC is waiting on final inspection documents for builders. During 2022, 7 homes passed final inspection and good faith building deposits returned. During the past 60 days, the ARC approved 2 roof replacements, multiple homeowner requests to remove trees, and exterior painting of home. It's too small for you to see, but I wanted to share a milestone in this community. The ARC prepared a pie chart, and as of December 22, they have 132 homes have been completed, 26 are in progress, and 312 have not been built yet. So I thought I had done a percentage there, but
It's in color.
yeah.
Hers is black and white. Mine got in color.
His note was the pie chart above represents construction progress as of December 22. Therefore, the numbers slightly differ from the updated attached report that was dated January 10. However, it does provide a quick visual of overall homes for Oyster Harbor. And I wish I'd kept my little note because I had decided what percentage it was. Dan, you can come up with the percentage and tell us later.
Well, the wonderful news is we've got 158 homes that are going to be neighbors and people living in our community. And that's just great growth for our community.
Yeah, we finally started to grow. Okay. It's my list.
I think it's me.
Need my agenda.
All right, you guys, I think it's mine next, with Boats and Docks.
Yes.
And Bruce Baker sends his apologies. He is under the weather. He had planned to be here, so he asked me if I would read for him. And I just want to say, as the liaison for Boats and Docks, I want to echo Donna's comments about the job they've done. They have taken their challenge by the horns, and they are really working hard for the community. Okay, so active projects and status. Looking into staining, sealing, synthetic surfaces on the walkways, gazebo deck, and floating docks. Surveying parcel next to the boat storage area. That's the expansion that we've talked about doing. It's over in the parcel. The engineer has asked for an actual survey before we can move forward. Install additional bumper rails to the floating dock. I had an update that 50% of that is already completed. They needed more screws. They have them now. So that will be finished. And then enlarging the boat storage area. Activities, projects completed since last report to the board. Completed the boat weight usage restriction form, visit permit form, and using the boat ramp and posted to Oyster Harbor website. Placed the ladder dock on the finger docks. Provided more detailed reserve estimates for future replacement, boating, storage needs. Put new bumper rails on the floating dock next to the boat ramp. Activities, projects planned to start within the next 6 months. Expand the boat storage area, stain and seal the synthetic surfaces on walkways, gazebos, decks, and floating docks. Complete installation of the bumper rail on the floating dock. Continue to monitor the status of the boat ramp. Budget issues, current budget issues are none. Reserve budget issues, the reserve budget being updated to include more future needs. Our committees are working very closely with FPC now moving forward so that there's input and they give them the knowledge of what's going on. We have one nomination for an addition to the Boats and Docks Committee, and that's Scott Reed. He's been approved.
Okay.
Okay.
Clubhouse Committee, is Carla here? Is it me? You want to read that, Judy? I think it's.
That's right.
Clubhouse.
Yes. Yeah.
I would, but I don't want to let them miss the chance.
Yes. The committee has not met since our last report, although we have been in touch via email and text. We are scheduled to meet on Tuesday, January 17th at 10:30. The new furniture was scheduled to be delivered on January 6th, but one piece was found to be damaged and had to be returned to the manufacturer. We do not have a date for replacement yet. The Wicker and More, the store, assured us that the order will be expedited. We are still working on the reupholstering of existing furniture that we have. Activities, projects planned to start within the next 6 months. We will inventory current pieces of furniture and art and decide what is to be kept and what could be sold or donated. A plan will be submitted to the board of directors once that is completed. We still hope to move forward with the kitchen and storeroom renovation and expansion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Communications Committee, Bert?
So communications, huh?
I mean, in the backwards.
Good. No.
Unmute. Okay. Works. All right. Communications Committee, since December of last year, by the numbers, we did 10 website updates, added 10 new users, sent out 20 MailChimp messages, 0 issues of the Oyster Harbor Pearl, and 1 Zoom meeting. Active projects completed since the last report, sent out a call for volunteers email, resulting in 4 potential new committee members. Worked with the BOD and published a release process for website documents. Procured and set up the Oyster Harbor laptop. Projects planned within the next 6 months. Meeting scheduled for next week with the Awesome Website guys, those are our website providers, to discuss calendar issues with print and full year functions, changing the homepage for registered users to use breaking news as the landing page. So when you log in, all of you who have registered for the website, log in, you'll get right to our breaking news section. We're exploring an email solution for the BOD and for committee chairs that's not tied to anyone's personal email accounts. Cleaning our email database, MailChimp subscriber list, continuing to clean our website user list of people who have no longer properties in Oyster Harbor. And we're reviewing storage requirements for the ARC building plans, making those electronic rather than paper-based. Budget issues, none. Membership changes. We found 4 potential co-editors for the Oyster Pearl. I'm going to meet with those people in the coming weeks and divide responsibilities, see if they're still interested, and then approach the board for their approval of members. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, Facilities Planning Committee.
Okay, as Donna mentioned in the president's report, the FPC has completed a review of the engineering and use study, design study, in conjunction with both staff.
Right, yeah.
Sorry.
At the end.
Hello, everyone. So we've completed our reserve study, a review of the reserve study. And we did it in conjunction with the Boats and Docks Committee, Structures and Grounds, and on the Ponds and Fountains Committees. We are meeting with the board tomorrow to present the results of this review. We expect further discussion. There are some questions that came up as a result of our review that we need to have resolved. Also, we are having our town hall meeting, as Donna mentioned, on Wednesday, February 1st, 7 p.m. What we're going to be doing is reviewing the results of the study, also explaining how the worksheet for the reserve works, and also talk a little bit about funding the reserve. So that's about it for now.
Thank you, David. I'll mention
To
that,
that.
this morning we finalized the dates for the town hall meeting and the next committee chair meeting. And e-blast will be going out to the community about the town hall meeting. And the committee chairs will get the e-blast
About the
committee
committee
chair.
chair meeting.
So you don't have to write those dates and times.
It's down now.
We've got two.
The next is landscaping. Tom?
Well, the landscaping committee consists of John Iden, my wife, Lauren, and me. And we're in our 7th year contract with Total Lawn Care, and at this point, we continue to be pleased and satisfied with them. And they respond pretty quickly to any requests that we make of them. Projects that they are currently working on is they've begun their leaf cleanup. They are doing roadside edging for the entire community, and he told me the other day that would take them quite a while to do because there's not getting how many miles he said there is in the community. They are doing general cleanup and maintenance. They're beginning their weed control. And for future projects, once the pond contract is approved, and they will begin working on removing what's called wax myrtles and pine trees. And then there are 3 stumps up here along the road. They're going to put those down. They've been there for quite a while. So that's pretty much it. And the crepe myrtles, and once the Christmas tree lights will remove, they'll begin trimming those crepe myrtles.
Sure. Member orientation, Mary Ann?
Hello, everyone. Let's see, our current activities, project status. The member welcome and orientation committee right now is inactive. Our next committee meeting will be in early March. And we're inactive right now because we will, when we meet in March, we will start our planning for our next evening event for member welcome. The activities projects completed since the last report to the board. We added a survey to our last evening event of October 18th And it was well received. It was very positive. It represented a few requests that we have more information available to the new homeowners, new lot owners at the onset, which we do present them with a welcome packet. So we're trying to renew, it's growing, we're trying to meet these needs that will help everyone to orientate and become a part of Easter Harbor. The committee met December 7th, and we reviewed everything that we went over the whole October 18th meeting, which it was very well received. It was a small kind of fireside type meeting, but it was very homey, welcoming, and it was well received. The activities and projects planned to start within the next 6 months. Well, that's within the next six months, definitely we'll be moving on, and it sounds like we should have a pretty well attended with the amount of building and rooms completed. So we're hoping to have a really good turnout for our next evening event. And right now that is planned for April 18th or the 25th. So that will be determined as we start our meetings of October and March. Usually in March, we sometimes can have a meeting weekly. So we cover a lot of ground in preparation for our evening event meetings. Let's see, the block captain program. This is something that has just come about in discussion, kind of loosely at first, but it's taking on some type of form, and how we can stay in touch with our new lot owners, new homeowners after our evening event. Our new homeowners and lot owners, they are very excited, seem to be happy to come and attend these evening event meetings. But we wanted to see how we can keep that going. How can we keep that contact going after they leave and keep them in touch? So we're kind of thinking of different ways that we can stay in touch with the new people and have somebody that they can in there as their neighbor. So it's developing, but a plan that comes together will definitely be put together for presentation to the board for your approval. And let's see, the budget issues, current operating budget issues are none. The reserve budget issues, none. The committee purpose membership changes, we're all there. It's the same great group that we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Marianne, I sent you a email about a couple that was interested, and I believe they may be sitting right next to you.
Plan C.
Are you Bill and Maggie Adams? We'll have it.
Chief Maggie, we're nearly, we have to.
Okay. I didn't mean to expose that. I just wanted to welcome you.
Welcome.
And you're building the home next to the Eagle Walkway on Healing Waters. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, the next committee is Ponds and Fountains. And that's my husband, Jim, and he is not here. And I'll read his report. The fountain at Eagle Pond remains off due to extremely low water level on the pond. Our committee is monitoring other ponds to ensure adequate water levels to safely operate the fountains. With the exception of Eagle Pond Fountain, all other fountains and fountain lights are operational. Projects completed since the last report. In December, the East Fountain in Osprey Pond was not operating correctly. Total Lake Care, TLC, determined the fountain was partially clogged and some necessary electrical repairs were performed. The fountain is now operating correctly. The water level is very low. And if we don't get much rain, it may be necessary to turn that off as in other ponds. We're suffering a big drought. A year or two ago, our water table was so huge that some people around the ponds were afraid that they were gonna be drowning in the water. But this year, we just can't get rain. Tom mentioned one of the projects that Jim is working with him on, and that is riprap for lined ponds. No, that's for S&J. Yours is for the removal of pine trees, wax myrtle, and dog fennel from the banks. The other is the riprap for lined ponds. And there's also a repair at Ibis Pond. The liner there has an exposed area that the committee's been trying to keep the water level up, so you can't see that. It's wailing. There's a bit of erosion. All three of these items are quotes that we're working with both TLCs. So stay tuned. We're going to be finalizing those. We've got their final proposals. We're reviewing them and we'll make an award on that pretty soon. And that's all that was in his report. The next one is Social Committee. Carla's not here. So Judy.
I guess I'm reading. Okay. Current ongoing activities or project status. Our committee continues to meet once per month, usually on the second Tuesday at 11 a.m. Next event is the Super Bowl and game night on Sunday, February 12th at 5:30 p.m. Flyer has been sent out to members of the community, and deli sandwiches and chili will be provided. Activities, projects completed. 10/29 is the Halloween party with Parlay providing live music. On November 12th, it was Harvest Soup Day. On December 5th, holiday decorating and deli sandwich lunch coordinated with S&G. Wish Upon a Star project collected 57 gifts in cash for one family of 5 and an additional 2 children. An article was submitted and published in the Brunswick Beacon. It's actually posted up on the bulletin board as you come in the door if anybody hasn't seen it yet. Regarding this project, and the Bunko Drive for donations was all positive PR for us. December 10th, it's a holiday party, cookie exchange, and the golf cart parade. And December 31st, the New Year's Eve party with DJ Dennis from Chris James Entertainment. Activities, projects planned. A 2023 calendar events for 2023 was established, and a copy is attached. I believe it's going to be on the website. Captain's John Seafood Truck and Trivia Night at the Clubhouse will be Friday, March 10th at 6:30 p.m. On April 23rd, the Wiffle Ball Tournament at Mallard Park. And refer to the calendar for additional events. Please look at the website. All that stuff is listed out there under Social Committee and on the monthly calendar. Budget issues, current operating budget issues, there are none. We will submit a request for funds to purchase new holiday decorations for next year when it's determined what is needed. Committee purpose membership changes, we've added 4 members, Bonnie Fielder, Becky Reed, Kathy Kellerman, and Lorraine Nicholas.
Thank you. Structures and grounds.
John is in his sabbatical time in Florida. He asked me if I would read it for him. I will tell you that John does leave and go to Florida. And I just want to speak and let you know, boy, he stays in touch with me. He stays in touch with his committee. He does a great job. Okay, current active projects, taking in the clubhouse trash and recycling cans, taking outdated paints and storage area to the landfill was more than you could imagine. Monitoring street light performance, maintaining the Guardhouse US and state flags. Activities and projects completed since the last report. Assisted in putting up and down Christmas decorations. Had 4 easy breeze window panes repaired in the clubhouse sun porch. Shut off pool exterior shower water in advance of extreme cold. Did review of the Oyster Harbor street lights and reported only 1 issue to Brunswick Electric. Checked pool women's toilets after a report of a slow flush, found that it was okay. Assisted in positioning new basketball backboard in the parking lot. Activities and projects planned. Work with the board of directors on a pool house storage expansion. Assist the board of directors with any major items where Structures and Grounds has the skill and labor to do it. Consider changes to shelving in the pool storage room and review options at the guardhouse for shells and storage, and that is certainly underway. Work with Board of Director liaison to evaluate swells, culverts in the Oyster Harbor area. Purchase, install battery and pad replacements for the clubhouse defibrillator. And I can give you an update on that. That's totally been a back order issue. It's not anybody's fault. We all experienced a shortage just like we did toilet paper. Now it's defibrillator batteries and pads. I promise you, the committee is all over that, and it'll be up just as soon as I think our last back order schedule for February is the best update we've got. We paint the handicap marking in the clubhouse parking lot. Budget issues, current operating budget issues, none. Reserve budget issues, none. And no one added to the committee at this point. They can use all the help you could get. So if you feel like you would like to join that committee, they'd love to have you.
I might add, last spring, Butch will remember, we tried to work with the S&G to replace or repair the AED, and it's still on back order. It was either March or May, I don't remember which, but it's been forever. Okay.
I know that Dick has ordered, the order's been placed for this battery for 6 months. He confirmed that just last week.
Yeah. The tree committee, I don't think Marty's here.
Okay, so that would be me. Tree committee, ongoing current activities. Several property owners need to be contacted about downed or broken trees. A list is going to be submitted to Kim Thomas from Waccamaw, so that Kim can send letters to the affected residents or lot owners. Activities projects completed. Many properties have cleaned up downed trees or removed large branches. Budget issues, current operating budget issues, none. Reserve budget issues, none.
Thank you. The next order of business is unfinished business. The first item is the Reserve Study Town Hall presentation by FPC, as we've mentioned a couple of times now. And we will remind you with an e-blast that it will be February 1st at 7 p.m., either in person here or via Zoom. Okay, the next item is road repairs. This has been deferred for discussion based on pending reserve study finalization, and Danny has some updates.
Yeah, there's yeah, I know every one of us that ride down these roads daily say, well, when's this going to be done? Sooner than it has been, for sure. We had to go through the swells and drainage system first before we can ever fix the roads. And we've got to make sure that all the drainage system is adequate to take care of what we're doing. We won't have any failures. Vic has done an amazing job of going through and rating our system all the way through the community. He did this a little over a year ago. Before we get into a contractor and give a scope of work, we wanted to make sure that we were current. So that is scheduled to happen again within the next week. So we can hopefully know exactly which ones to rate that we have to have attention to immediately. As soon as that part is finished, we'll be into the taking bids for repairs initially, which will result into paving later. So just to keep you posted, stay tuned. It is moving.
Okay, the next item, I've mentioned it before. There are 2 contracts that we are reviewing and should shortly award them. One is for riprap that will go in the areas around some of the lined ponds. There's not a sufficient riprap. You see a little bit of the liner, and the exposure to sunlight, AV rays and things can damage them. So that's been in the reserve study for a little while. And I think Jim brought it up last year, and this board is trying to take care of that now. And it's just the lined ponds where they have some spaces. It'll help on one like Cardinal. I don't think anybody's here from Cardinal, but some of the ponds, when the water is low, you see a lot of black liner, and it's not attractive. So it'll be more attractive. It protects the liners, and it's a good deal. The other one is the mowing and removal of the unwanted dog fennel, pine, and wax myrtles that are around all of our ponds. So both of those should be awarded, and you'll see activity soon, we hope. The next item is the committee chair quarterly meeting. The date and time are February 15th from 2 to 4. We scheduled this right after the reserve study so that our committee chairs will be familiar with the reserve study and can understand how important it is for them to be advocates for the projects in their committees and scheduling of reserve funds for those types of important projects. Okay, the next item is some issues that were brought up in our last board meeting, or maybe even one before that. The first is the ARC fees breakout, the $750. And last night, we got some information about the funds that have been received and spent for that effort. For those of you that don't understand this issue, there is a $1,500 architect review fee that is received from the builder for every build. And the architect is $750 to review plans. We review all the plans in the community. The other $750 comes into income in Oyster Harbor, not in Watertown, comes to our income. And as there are, as there's work that has to be done to support the ARC for all of their activities, the Waccamaw employee will work, and it's $45 is charged for each one of those hours of work. So what we realized is that $34,500 has been received from 23 builds. And we did have $2,800 and $2,870 that the ARC had received from fines and violations, for a total of income for 2022, $37,370. On the expense end of that, the amount of money spent by a Waccamaw employee in 2022, the $45 an hour is $15,379. And the amount of money sent to architects is $16,500. So the total income is $37,370. The total expenses $31,879, with a remainder of $5,490. So we're operating at a positive with that little exercise. This was a problem a couple of years ago. Joanne was our president. She remembers this well. And what was happening a couple of years ago was each architect review fee of $1,500 was going to Waccamaw directly. And the architect cost $1,500, I believe. And any expenses for support from Waccamaw support for the ARC review and other processing work came out of our budget. So it was sort of an overcharge outside of the contract. It wasn't necessarily covered there. So this has been a good deal by changing that so that the money comes to Oyster Harbor. Half goes to the architect and half is for support. And nothing has come out of our budget. This was money that was covered as income outside of our assessments. Okay. And the next item, find my thing again. I pick up stuff when I'm talking. Okay, the next item is the Waccamaw addendum. And the Steve Goldfinch, who was I'm sure he's the vice president or the president Vice President. He, as well as us and all of you, have been frustrated with that. I think Steve was trying to reward a good employee, and we had an addendum for $3 that we are, I'll use his words. He has withdrawn that, and he was destroying the addendum. And we will be receiving something from him at some point to firm that up. But that whole deal was not a good way for him to try to do the business. And we're out of that, It's no longer part of our contract. So we're moving on from that. And the next item is the fishing policy. And the board is planning to meet in February. And February 9th. And we are going to dedicate a day for us to all talk about it. We have not talked about that subject yet as a board. And we're going to make it a priority to talk about that. And once we do that, we'll get back to you and let you know what we're thinking and how we're going to proceed with that. Okay. The next item. New business. The Safety and Preparedness Committee. Larry, you want to handle that?
Sure thing. I appreciate it, Donna. Donna mentioned it briefly in her president's report, actually captured sort of the summary of what the Safety and Preparedness Committee is about. And I'll in just a moment telling you kind of what it is and what it's not. But I would refer or ask everyone, you want to see what the charter is for this new committee, which has been approved, and its membership as well. Go to the Oyster Harbor website under committees. Once you get to the committees, drop down to the new listing for safety and preparedness. And in that, you will see the charter, and hopefully this afternoon, this evening, whatever I can get with both, will also, the membership has been ratified. We'll get all the new members on there. We've got a few of them in the audience here. So having said that, I will tell you that the Safety and Preparedness Committee is not a security committee. Not going down that road, nor will we have golf carts with blue lights or anything like that circulating around the community.
But we discussed that.
We want them.
Yeah,
Some of us want them.
yeah, but you got troubles with handcuffs and where you're gonna take people, stuff like that. But anyway, that's not what the goal of this is. A lot of the committees and the functions are dedicated for physical structures and things. And that's as they should be. This Safety and Preparedness Committee is focused a little bit more toward the people aspect of this. Again, on the safety side, we're interested in traffic violations and things that poses a risk to the people that are out walking around with their animals and golf carts and things like that. So again, the listing here is, and I'll read over real quickly what the mission is, but we're going after the safety part of it from a people perspective on this. We are going to look at traffic and non-traffic issues. And this committee's got 5 top-notch people. We've got an alternate in the background and even a resource people who doesn't live here that's going to help us out with that. But it's going to take us a few meetings to get our feet under us. We're going to pull together, really kind of decide using that charter how we want to go forward with this, because this is a really kind of a complex committee to be, because it's going to involve a lot of legal review and processes involved. Just exactly what can we do as an association? What can we not do? How do we put some teeth into whatever may be a potential issue out there? You can begin to see kind of how complex this can be. So the mission of this is to advise the board and provide recommendations to improve compliance and safety-focused policies and prevention, traffic and non-traffic safety issue preparedness. I don't want to forget about that. We live in a very vulnerable area as it relates to natural events and things like that. So we're really wanting to go after things such as after tornadoes or during hurricanes, before and after preparations and things like that. We want to really roll up our capability up as far as the committee goes on that. So we're going to meet, our committee is going to have its first meeting on Monday at 10 o'clock, and then we'll have a couple of follow-on meetings after that. And we're bringing a lot of our work that we get done during these first couple of meetings together back to the board and let them know kind of what we've decided and how we think we're actually going to put boundaries and goals and objectives in place for that. And then we'll come back out to the community and let you know what we'll come up with so far, for the starting point.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
I made this earlier. First of all, he said he'd do this in 60 seconds. I made a comment earlier today that when this was talked about to start with, that I wasn't sure I was on board of the necessity. And I will promise you now, but after seeing the hard work he's done with this, putting this committee together and the vision of where this thing can go, I'm 100% behind it, and you should be too. This is a big, big deal for our community, so I applaud you for your efforts.
Thank you. And for the
Thank you.
members out there.
Did you want to report the names of the
Oh,
members?
sure can. We just ratified them here just a few minutes ago. I was flipping through here. We've got Leanne. There we go. Leanne Winslow, Bill Justice, who's not here, wherever you are, Bill.
Thank God.
You see where his priorities are. So you get in charge by default. So we've got Glenn Lauren over there. We've got Nick Persinger in the back. We've got Bob Wilson is not here. Maybe he's joined us on the Zoom. We have Mr. Jim Lunsford, who's our first alternate over there. And we've got Mr. William Farr, who's functioned as a consultant and resource to us. He actually lives in Maryland. He's down here, down here a couple of times a year. He's retired law enforcement out of DC Capital Region. He's done a lot of work as far as everything from working with Capitol Police, the president's details, all those kinds of things like that, a lot of experience. So we're really trying to get in a broad brush breadth of people from both preparedness, EMT type stuff, as well as law enforcement.
Great.
Congratulations.
Okay, congratulations.
127.
We had a conflict with scheduling the annual meeting, so I wanted to let you know that the Oyster Harbor Annual Meeting will be held at BEMC, but it will be on Saturday, September the 23rd at 1:00. It'll also be available via Zoom. And you'll hear that again, but in case you want to know about it early, so you don't want to be on vacation or something. The last item is that the board has been real busy with a lot of important things. And that this past month and now in February, we've been meeting almost every week, sometimes twice a week. So we've been reevaluating, as we had told you in the beginning, we're going to have a board meeting every month unless we had some kind of a special meeting, like a town hall, some kind of focus group thing or something. We're going to have the town hall in February, so we're not going to have a regular board meeting in February. We'll start up again in March with a board meeting. We're going to try to schedule our meetings now every other month and alternate 1:00 or 7:00, because there's an interest in having both of those times. So we're going to no longer have a board meeting like this every month. It'll be every other month beginning in March. Our next meeting will be March 16th at 7 p.m. And then April, May, July,
Annual.
and then the annual. We're going to be sending out an e-blast about that so that you can mark your calendars. And there may be in some of those months that we don't have a board meeting, there could be another presentation, something of interest to the whole community. So stay tuned for that e-blast. And let's see where we are here. This concludes the regular monthly board meeting. If any members have questions or comments that they would like to bring before the board, we will hold them to 3 minutes. And Larry will be the timekeeper, and they can step up. If they're here, they should step up to the spot there on the floor, state their name and their question. If they are remote, I think Bert will be handling that in some manner. So do we have anyone that has any comments or questions they want to make?
I mean, first of all, I'd like to thank the board for them looking into the architectural phase and where that money is going. But I think it shows money for questions as to how that additional or the legal settlement, where the money is going. We know it's going to Waccamaw, okay, not for what. Can the board tell me where and when, or why this, excuse me, when and why this fee took place? At what time, under what board? Did this fee become? You go through Walmart. In other words, I thought only from an annual meeting down in September. I think other people assumed that that additional $750 went into reserve. And now we find out later that it's going on. Can the board tell, can the board tell what is involved in that $750 that what it wasn't needed prior to Walmart buying on board?
I'm gonna try to address that as best I can. We did everything, took the challenge for the board to go back and give you the right answers, to dig in to find out where the nuts and bolts of the money was. I will tell you the history says it goes back to 2019. You asked what board, that's the best answer I can give you. It was a plan put together to manage the arts business, and that was formed in that time frame. As far as the money expectations of going back to the reserve, I can only speak to what I know currently. Our goal was to find out where it all was, because that's what the community asked us to do. And we've done that. Now you're asking us another question.
Yes.
And and listen, and a valid question.
That's what we had. So I looked at the board, they do about research and about $750. Well, not necessary. It wasn't necessary for '19. Why is it necessary?
Because we're building.
Fall apart. I know there was people out there around. I will be on participating in that fund. Okay, so we have resources here in the community that can feed on funds, and it's not that we're paying somebody else.
Again, an excellent statement, excellent question, and has been well received. This board asked the same question. We had to go back and follow up and dig to be able to get the answers to the community's question. Moving forward, I can assure you that the board's going to be evaluating just that, of where everything is. The one thing that I will tell you, that the answer to why did we not need the money before and why do we need it now? We weren't building before, like in 2019, we were 35 starts. So the money did drastically increase on the needs of administrative help. And that was the choice that was made through the ARC and the past board of how to take care of that administrative cost. That is how we're operating today. Our job and responsibility to you is to constantly be reevaluating where that is and knowing there's talented people in the community.
Well, good. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Do you have anyone, Bert?
What about?
Yeah, Glenn Moore, I just want to echo what Jack Kaiser brought up in regards to the $750. That $750 is to cover my understanding is to cover the review of and the processing of a bill, paperwork, to the whatever, to the people that are doing the architect, the builder, and the homeowner. But I'd like to know how many hours does it take to process paperwork for a home? I know that that's a rhetorical question because I know you can't say that. But if I have we received no notices when we did ours for violations or anything. It was a smooth transaction. But if you break it down, you can say $50 an hour. That's 9 hours of paperwork that a homeowner's fronting when they put a build in here. And if it's only an hour, well, where's that other $700 go? It's on the builder. It's on the home, the people building. Where does that money go? It's not going back to them. I mean, if it's going in our reserve so we could fund the issues we have with shortfall of monies, that'd be great. But unfortunately, it's going to Waccamaw. And if I understand what you said, Danny, is this all started in 2019? Who proposed this assistance to the ARC? Was it Waccamaw? So if it was Waccamaw, it seems to me like they have their hands and a lot deeper into our finances than just that contract that they're doing. There are capable people within our community that would be willing to do this. I mean, $45 an hour, that's an atrocious rate. We shouldn't be paying that. That could be going into our reserves and helping to me, it sounds like we're taking money from people doing builds. It's not going totally towards their build. And it's going to fund Waccamaw to do the paperwork. I think we should take a second, take that back, look at that, form a committee to see what we can do if there's anybody with that specialty within our community and address that. And let's take that money and keep it within our community. We need that money. Everything is going up. Not to, shortfall anybody, and I'm not blaming anybody, but we need to revisit that, look at it and say, hey, what can we do to stop pumping out $15,000 to Waccamaw on top of our contract? If we can do it within house, that's what should be done. Thank you.
Thank you.
We
We have reviewed this process for the last couple of years. As I indicated before, this was something that we fixed. And we've come to a positive point. We are able to manage all of these builds. It's huge amount of work. It's probably 25 to 30 hours a month for Waccamaw to support the ARC, which is not a lot. And it's made them successful. And I'm not saying it's rocket science, but we have always had a community manager in all of our companies handle the ARC portion. We used to have one or no builds in a year. Now we got 26 of them going on. It's huge. And we support this process that we're going through. And I see it as a positive. A few more dollars are left over at the end of the year. None of it was ever going to go to the reserve necessarily. It's coming in, it's into operating. And at the end of the year, if we've got extra money, we do move money to the reserves. We're always very diligent in doing that kind of thing. But I hear what you say, but I've seen how this was before and how it is now. And if the building stops, maybe we can bring some of this work in-house. The ARC is autonomous. They don't report to us. They do their thing. So, there's also that going on here.
They have to do any purchases that they have to go to the board. Long-term amazing decision to go ahead and like Waccamaw by a particular authority for the ARC.
That was a board decision a couple of years ago.
Well, you said they were not, I think one before, if the board did approve, those funds belong to Waccamaw.
Well, yeah, the board signed off on it. The president at that time signed the contract authorizing Waccamaw to do that.
Nowhere in the board of directors minutes going back in 2019 does it reflect that whatsoever.
I can't speak to that, Glenn. I know what the contract says, and there's that piece on there.
If I didn't want to come to my meeting, what that was, I think also answer. Does the board know?
Thank you.
Like authorized, does the board know what, once the accounts that we. Involved in the $150. There's no what happens to be involved with it. The mailing plans, I don't think they're qualified to approve any plan. But what is involved in this in the fact? Thank you.
Speaking
I'm making sure involved, I'm sure the thing is something.
That's a good question. I think we can get some details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the original question, I copied it over here, so that was your first question and comment that came back to us.
There is more digging happening. We've gotten a lot of answers. And we know we have more work to do.
It's not like that, I'm not in.
But
Okay, that's fine.
I only got 60.
There's gotta be more deep, see, I'm going on, looking at the financials, and I see the treasurer's report and the breakdown, where. Is there a more in-depth breakdown of the monthly costs that you guys receive? Like invoices, walk miles,
No.
stuff like, you don't receive any other.
Not currently.
Yeah.
We receive more reports in the general ledger area. But we don't, what you just mentioned about hours or something, we don't have any information on that.
Itemized bill from walk off of the charges that you get, we pay them up.
They're in our financials. You can look that up.
We're not, no, I'm talking about a breakout. I'm talking about line item X, Y, Z, bump, this is what we paid. For a total of this model. Line item, boom, maybe we have line, I want to see that.
That's,
Just,
Well, I told you the annual cost for 2022.
Not.
but he wants to break. The report that you're describing is 65 pages long. And and we're not gonna be, and we don't put that on the website.
okay, but I want to read that.
But we don't go to the fidelity that you're asking. If you look, you get an hour for labor.
Right.
Even
On the balance sheet.
that report, the 67 pages, does not go to that detail.
Well, it's better than what I'm looking, like, give me the opportunity, to sit down after the last 6 months, see those 67 pages for each month. And I'll-
It's a request.
And
It's just a formal request.
it's certain thing that I need to understand, and I have questions and we'll have enough time here to continue. And I have the opportunity to sit down and I do have, I'll do that, as any other member of our community does, but I want to see where the money's going. Just over the end of the month, does do it for me. I'm not a numbers guy, I gotta break it down and digest each individual thing, and that's what I want the opportunity to do.
The board will discuss that. We'll discuss that. Within the
promise you, we'll take.
Have requests, we'll discuss it.
But I will even go a little further. You've entrusted us to go to work for you, and I hope that this whole community is feeling that we've accepted that challenge.
It's an awesome thing that you did away with reality. Because nobody.
And we're stepping up
And,
to ask the same questions that you're asking moving forward.
okay, fine, I just, want that fair, that's.
Well, understood.
Thank you.
Any questions on this?
I wonder, maybe, gonna be interested in the back of the.
You're still waiting.
Okay.
Brian has.
I'm sorry.
No,
Stuart, no, I'm not sure.
oh, whatever.
Move up to the X, sir.
All right. Yeah, I was just wondering.
Your name, sir?
What?
Your name?
Montgomery, so Montgomery, I live in. Anyway, I was just wondering if we are still in the business of selling lots. Like apparently there's a surplus of lots that is owned by, our
Association?
association. Are we building now?
Yeah.
We only have resales. Every lot in this community has been sold for a very long time. But people that want to sell their lots are doing that. We don't have anything in foreclosure or anything that belongs to the HOA.
Okay, so you're okay. But I heard like last year.
We sold them.
So,
They were sold.
so I just didn't want to be in business of selling lots, cost up like, we need for it, hold on to it. Have it on, one market. We don't want to be. All day economy going back. We don't make it.
We want the same revenues you do.
But we do have lots for sale and they're on the website. There's lots that are for sale here in Orchard.
But they don't belong.
Maybe not so.
They don't belong to us.
No,
That's all.
they're individually owned. It's,
And they're not all ours.
So,
they're not listed on the website?
so there's no longer anything at all. Real estate
Sorry.
tag on the website for the sale, right?
No.
No, they're not. Okay. I'm
No.
stand corrected.
Okay. If there's no more questions.
Brian's got one.
Brian's got one.
You're good, you're as good as I am on this. Brian Vincent, first off, thank you for rescinding the $3. I know that was like you,
That was done by law.
well, that's my next thing. I applaud Steve and welcome on. I think it's odd that it was worded that way, because the three of you on the side of that table actually voted for this. So it took our management company to rescind it, not the three of you. Where's the accountability? At the last meeting, I asked a question about this, and it was confirmed that the association was given an inaccurate budget to vote on at the annual meeting. Has that been communicated to the community as a whole, that we voted on an inaccurate budget that you, three of you, gave us to vote on? And you don't have to answer it now. I mean, if y'all want to take it back and come back at the next meeting, that's fine, or you can answer it.
What are you questioning that was in?
At the last meeting, which you weren't here at, I asked a question about at the annual meeting, the $3 an hour, was that included in the budget? Judy confirmed that it was not in the budget that you presented us as a community to vote on. So,
Things happen.
You have to-
Do the development budget.
okay, you did it 2 hours before the annual meeting and then handed it out for us to vote on. Then you knew it was accurate.
Actually, we didn't consider it as being accurate.
So you give us the budget you don't think is accurate and ask us to vote on it?
The budget's changed.
I understand that. 2 hours ahead of time, you knew the budget had changed. You gave us the budget. You knew it was inaccurate, and you asked the community to vote on it.
I don't forget what really happened.
That's exactly what happened.
Her characterization of it.
Well, that's your opinion. The opinion of a lot of people in this community is that you presented an inaccurate budget and asked us to vote on it. So the only other thing I have to say is, when do the three of you expect to resign from this board?
It's not going to happen.
There's a consequence.
Thank you. That's fine, thank you.
Any other questions? No.
Anything on the Zoom meeting?
No waiting.
Okay, the open portion of the meeting is now over, and our next meeting will be March 16th at 7 p.m. Is there a motion to move to executive session?
Motion to move.
Second,
I second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.